just horrific, isn't it? I mean, looking at his mother there, Tyree's mother, completely broken. She hasn't seen this footage, which is to be released tonight, and I think potentially she won't.
It's so sad after what we've seen previously, and we also need to look not just in the US as this example, but also just look at the things that are happening on our own shores, and just are we getting it right too, in terms of police behaviour, and is there trust in the police? But I just, our hearts go out to this family and what they're having to go through, and the fact that Tara, his last words were calling out for his mother, and of course she feels that so deeply as you would expect. So a really sad story, and something that really should never ever have happened.
Yes, and when you read the detail, it is actually quite upsetting. Tyre Nichols was heard calling for his mother, as you say, 3 times, and he also asked, "What did I do?" Alison.
And this footage is apparently a full hour long. I mean, this was a really prolonged and sustained attack against this young man by 5. There's 5 police officers who have been charged, but I mean, I suppose whenever these things happen, and we know from George Floyd and from the Black Lives Matter protests, that because that video existed of George Floyd, that obviously really brought it home to people in terms of the police brutality that was linked to that. But the fact that this young man, that there was no officer among those 5 who said this needs to stop, point where it's uncontrollable. And you would think, after all the incidents that had happened before, and the fact that police officers have been sentenced and went to prison, that there would be a change of attitude in terms of this. I do think that I suppose it's a phenomenon of the modern world, that when these things happen, that they are captured now on camera. That is a good thing. It means these things, can't be brushed under the carpet, and lies can't be told. But it also means that there's a very brutal and visual demonstration of the violence that this young man experienced in his last moments. And as the mother of a young man myself, looking at his mother and the pain and the anguish on her face, and the fact is that footage is there, and the temptation is always going to be there for her to look at that and to say that her son's last words were calling for her. And it is just heartbreaking. And I do think that we will go to bed tonight, but when we wake up tomorrow morning, what will be happening in America is this footage is released. Will be our overnight, and when people see this and they see what's happening, will that mean protests in the streets, and will they be able to keep those protests peaceful, or will this result in further violence? But I do think there needs to be systemic change in terms of how policing operates in America. But also, let's face it, we've had our own policing woes. The Sarah Everard murder really caused for the Metropolitan Police, and in fact police from all jurisdictions, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, had to then re-vet their officers, and have now told us that there's 70 officers suspended facing allegations of either domestic abuse or sexual violence, and that's a result of that re-vetting process that happened after the Sarah Everard murder. So it's easy to look at America and say that's shambles, and look at the state of their policing, but we must also remember our own policing situation is not without problems as well.
But we do hope that those supporters of the family heed the warnings from Tyre Nicholas's mother, that they shouldn't protest violently. She says, "I don't want us burning up our city, tearing up the streets. That's not what my son stood for." So we hope that they do listen to her. Alison and Mary, for the moment, thank you. We are going to take a break. Coming up, we'll have a full run through of tomorrow's front pages and discuss more of the day's news. Do stay with us if you can.